Good morning and welcome to the show. This is In Touch. And In Touch is our weekly half-hour public affairs show. So at the end of the program today, if you are a member of a nonprofit group or organization here in the Hudson Valley, in Orange County, and Sullivan County, we'd love to have you on the show to talk about what is important to you. If you are a company, if you are a business here in the Hudson Valley, helping out a nonprofit group or organization, we'd also like to know what is of concern to you. So at the end of the program today, as I mentioned, I will have a myriad of ways that you can get a hold of me, and I hope that you do, because we'd love to have you on the show. Let me turn on microphones. Let me say this is pre-recorded. If we talk about phone numbers, if we talk about websites, if we talk about Facebook pages, know that you can go to whatever station you're listening to this morning, their website, keyword In Touch. You'll find this week's article, and there'll be links, and if I do my job right, they'll all be there. So let me turn on the microphone and welcome our guest today. Dana has not been here. I don't want to say the years because it scares me. I don't know. It feels like a long time. I think
it's like 12 years.
Oh, see, there's the number. Okay, so Dana Pavlock is here. He's the Vice President, Provider Relations at Evercare. Dana, thank you very much for calling me because I heard your voicemail and that's what got this started. And that's what I say on the show. If there's something of concern, then please call.
Yeah, you did. I appreciate getting right back to me. It's amazing to me that you remembered after 12 years. Quite honestly.
Every now and then I get something right. I wouldn't count on that anymore. But, we try. Susan Davidson is also here. Susan is the Executive Director, co-founder, Friends of Seniors of Dutchess County. Susan, welcome. Nice to have you and welcome to the show.
And thank you very much for having us today.
It's great that you're here. And Bronca Bryan is here. She is Director of Advocacy Services at the Grace Smith House. So, Bronca, thank you very much for coming, too.
Thank you for having me as well.
Absolutely. And being willing to put yourself behind the mic, it'll be fine. We're going to have fun. We're going to learn a lot. That's what I always like to do on every show. And I will say that every show I learn something, and I probably should have warned you guys. At some point in the show today, I will ask 3 questions all at once, and you will all look at me and go, what is she doing? Why does she have a microphone? And many people have asked that, but we'll get through it. We'll just figure it out. One of the things we did talk about before the microphones were on was, since we are talking about Everclear, since we are talking about Friends of Seniors of Dutchess County, since we are talking about the Grace Smith House, I really wanted to give an opportunity for each of you to talk about those organizations. So, Dana, I'm going to start with you. When you talk about Evercare, what is that? How does that work? Who benefits? All those kinds of things.
Okay. Evercare is a private, not-for-profit organization that provides home care services for individuals that live in Rockland, Orange, and Dutchess County. Mm-hmm. The home care services that we deliver range from what's called a certified home health agency that does the short-term nursing and therapy services for people that just need help, maybe for a few weeks or a month after usually a hospitalization or rehab stay. Mm-hmm. So we're one of the providers that provides that service. And then we also have a managed long-term care program that is Medicaid-driven for people that have long-term care needs. That qualify for Medicaid, that we could coordinate and provide services in someone's home and prevent them from being placed in a residential setting, basically. And we do that in 3 counties as well. And we operate a social day program in Newburgh.
Wow. This is something I don't remember what we talked about 12 years ago, but I do know that recently some of the guests that have been on the show have been talking about the sandwich generation, individuals who are helping take care of their children, possibly helping to raise grandchildren, and also taking care of their parents. When you mentioned something about the daycare, when you mentioned about managing long-term care, those are services that can really help a family out.
It really is. And what we do, it's one of those things where, people on a day-to-day basis aren't thinking about, home care until there's a need. So, but at the same time, it's very confusing for people too, if they're eligible or not, how to get the services, or they have to have their doctor, or a lot of questions. So what we basically do in all the kinds that we operate, we do a lot of outreach and education, and we're always offer to come to any organization or club to discuss basically how to access the right service at the right time, understanding their options with home care and how to get the services, which is really, really important because a lot of people struggle unnecessarily because they could have picked up the phone and made a phone call and got help, and they didn't.
I'm saying this from personal experience. I am aware of that struggle of watching, and sometimes you don't know who to call, what services are available, what's the best thing to do, what is good for the individual, what is good for the family. How do you... I'm so glad all of you are here because it is a big topic, and sometimes I think people don't mean to, but they don't know what to do and they get stuck.
Sure.
And they just stop moving forward.
Right. We've actually been providing services in the 3 counties that I mentioned for we'll be hitting 20 years with our managed long-term care plan next year. But the managed the certified agency is relatively new, 3 years old, and we are very proud of that agency because we're now people have another option. It used to be in Dutchess County, only had 2 certified home care agencies to choose from, so we are a third choice now, and. Home Health Compare. That's a state website you can look at ratings, and we are our ratings are really good, so we're proud of that. And I just wanted to read our mission though, because this is really important. It's interesting. And Sylvia McTeague is our president of our company, and she is basically not only looking to provide the best care possible, but be recognized as an employer of choice. We have a lot of fun with our staff and our employees. We attract and hire a lot of really well qualified staff, and always looking for physical therapy and nurses still like everybody else. But our mission is guided by the principles of quality, respect, excellent ethics, and integrity. We care for our community through uncompromised commitment to compassionate people care. Nice. So people care is an interesting word. When I first heard that, Rebecca had mentioned it, when I was like, no, I don't want people care. It's kind of an odd name, but it's not a real word, but it makes sense and it really fits our mission. So, but that's what we do. And, we can, I'll tell you how we tied into this conference coming up in a little bit, but that's the more exciting part of what we're here to talk about today.
Right, which is why everyone is here. So, Susan, step on up to the microphone and let's talk about the Friends of Seniors of Dutchess County, that organization. What is it that you do? Who can benefit? What do you need? All those things.
Okay. We are a basic support service for the older adult community in Dutchess County only. But we provide non-emergency medical transportation, grocery shopping, visiting services, respite for primary caregivers, and telephone reassurance.
Oh, wow.
And we're volunteer-based, so it is only volunteers who perform all the services. And our main focus is on the non-emergency medical transportation. So we drive people from Dutchess County to their doctor's appointments, their labs, physical therapy, dialysis, same-day surgery. We can be out as early as 5 o'clock in the morning. We're out until about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And we've been in business now 13 years. And most important of all, to our seniors, our services are free.
Wow. I have to say, again, I'm every show, I always learn something. If you are part of the sandwich generation, you have a job, you're trying to take care of everyone, you may not be able to, where you are employed, be able to take off to get your mom or your dad or an aunt or someone to a doctor's appointment.
Exactly.
That is so powerful. That alone, I am like, wow. Holy smokes.
But there's also a lot of seniors that are still living. They've raised their children in the community, and the children went to college and got married and never came back.
Right. And they're not here. They're not around.
We get telephone calls from adult children from all over the country.
Wow.
And looking for assistance for their parents. And then there's a lot of people that are just alone, period. Yeah. And, we're just glad we can help. In the last 2 years, our volunteers drove almost 200,000 miles taking seniors to their doctor's appointments.
Wow.
Yep. So they're pretty good.
That's amazing, because we help take care of my mother-in-law, and she never learned to drive.
Right.
So there is that too. I know that it seems odd now to people to never learn to drive, but they're not that much. She never learned to drive.
Well, and when you're dealing sometimes with now, it's the high 80s, they're in the high 80s or early 90s. They never learned to drive because it wasn't necessary for women to learn how to drive.
Right.
So since they never learned how to drive, then what are they going to do?
Right. And so we coordinate with our family, but that's not always the easiest. And for, like you said, if someone has moved out of state, well, I'm not trying to sound stupid, but you're not coming home you can't come home for a week and do grocery shopping and get them set up for a month or something. I mean, you can't. There's a limit to what you can do.
Well, Peapod is very helpful.
Yeah.
Being able to order on the internet is very helpful. But we also, some of our clients will order on the internet and we'll just go pick up the food at the store and bring it over to their house. So that's another way that we do it.
And there's nice because there's companionship as well.
Oh, absolutely.
There's conversations that take place, and you're not just sitting there, because sometimes I wonder, when we're all out in the world in our working lives and you get so used to, you problem solve without even knowing it. You have these relationships, you have these conversations. And then when that goes away, it sometimes seems like, the world gets smaller. And it's so amazing to have that gift, to have someone come in and be like, no, it's okay. Like, we can totally figure this out. Like, we'll totally get it. Don't worry.
And that's exactly it. I mean, the ride to the doctor and back home from the doctor is actually a social situation for both the volunteer and the client. And the history that the clients tell us about their lives and where they came from and what they did. You can't, it's just... It's astounding and refreshing and heartwarming. The whole job is completely rewarding.
Very cool. I love that.
Can I say something about that? Because I'm sitting here watching you, and I wish that this was actually videotaped. Because if you could see Susan's eyes light up with what she does, I mean, as far as passion, I mean, and I tell you, I've had a pleasure working with Susan, and we'll probably talk about that in a little while, as a lot in the last month or so. But Susan is so not only committed and connected to her. I mean, Susan typically, when I talk to her, she will in a heartbeat drop a meeting or something she's doing because someone else, a volunteer, wasn't able to do a ride, so she's out there driving herself. Yeah. I mean, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. It's amazing.
Yes, I agree with you. There are many times on this show that I wish I'm glad often that we don't have a video camera. I should never be on camera, but I'm just saying that the look in your eye, I wish people could see, because it's very powerful. Oh. It's very, very powerful. So, Bronca, you've been quiet long enough. So, you are the Director of Advocacy Services at Grace Smith House. So, tell us about Grace Smith House a little bit, kind of bring us up to speed and what you would like the community to know.
So, Grace Smith House is a private nonprofit agency that serves victims of domestic violence and family violence in Dutchess County. We offer free and confidential services to anyone who may be a victim of domestic or family violence. We really focus on the mission of empowering individuals and families to live violence-free lives. Yeah. And we do it through various services. We have advocacy services. We will accompany a victim to almost any system, anywhere they need to go to access and get connected to other service providers. We offer free counseling that addresses the issues surrounding the trauma that violence would bring into their lives. We have a 24-hour, 7 days a week, 365 days a year hotline that is answered by a trained counselor who can answer questions, who can answer and point someone in the right direction to access services. Often it can be just support if a victim is not ready for that. But we do offer comprehensive services that center around domestic violence.
Now, this may be a stupid question, and please forgive me. With domestic violence and family violence, what is the difference? And again, I don't mean to, but just kind of, because domestic violence, I have an understanding of. Family violence, is it if other relatives are in the house? I mean, I'm not quite sure.
So that's a really good question. And we kind of include the two because there is this tendency to see domestic violence as that intimate partner relationship, generally, partners that have been intimate in some way. Mm-hmm. When we look at family violence, and family violence is generally looking at that family system. So it could be violence that's perpetrated by a child towards a parent, for example, or a grandparent, and it starts to include the other family members.
Got it. Like I said, I'll be the one that raises my hand and asks the stupid question, but I just kind of wanted to know. So, Dana, you had alluded to earlier the reason why Bronca and Susan and yourself are here. And so let's talk about that. There's a conference that is coming up. That's all I'm going to say. Otherwise, I'll take everything away. So you go ahead and say.
We're so excited about this conference. what it is there's the 9th annual World Elder Abuse Awareness Day conference is being held on Friday, June 16th at the Elks Lodge in Poughkeepsie from 8:30 to 1. The conference is being organized this year by Evercare and Friends of Seniors, and in that conference, we're going to be actually, with the sponsorships that we're getting to help offset the cost of the conference.
Sure.
We are expecting to have a surplus of income that the proceeds of that are going to be donated to Grace Smith House and to the I got to look at the name here because they changed their name, the Center for Victim and Safety Support, formerly Crime Victims.
Right.
It's a really good cause. It's called Lights, Camera, Action is the theme. The focus, again, is to shine a light on the topic. It's something that a lot of people do not talk about.
Right.
It is much more widespread and more prevalent than people realize. We'll talk about in a little bit. And the purpose of the conference is to identify the supports in the community that are available, and also how people can get the help and how they can prevent it from happening. Take action.
I have to say, when you said that not a lot of people talk about it, the times that I have heard of elder abuse stories are when they have involved someone famous. Mm-hmm. That is typically when you see that. Now, common sense says to you, that's not, it breaks my heart, but that's not the only time that's happening. But that's when it makes the news. And then sometimes people will be like, oh, well, they should have known better. Well, that's not fair. I don't think that's fair. So I think this is powerful to have this, especially when you look at the sandwich generation, people taking care of. Are people really being taken care of well? What are steps that they can do? How can the individual, the person who is elderly, take care of themselves and protect themselves? What do other family members need to know?
Right, and we're going to talk all about that hopefully in this next half hour show. The thing I wanted to mention about the conference and what makes it really, I think, more significant this year, even though it's the 9th annual, is the way that Susan and I got involved with it. And it was really, what it was at Susan's office. We got an email from an organization that had done this prior that had run out of funding that said they were not going to be able to do the conference this year. So Susan and I were talking, and we were looking at each other and said, well, can we do this conference? Because we're passionate. We were both on the coalition, for elder abuse, and we were interested in, passionate about the topic. So within like 10 minutes time, we got a keynote speaker and a location, and then we said, we're going to do this conference. So it's pretty amazing. The conference, we're right now, we expect that it's going to, 200 plus people will be there. We're already at 150 registered, and we've only been doing it for 3 weeks. So if people want to register, they should, call or email as soon as possible to get a spot. To register, you can call 845-485-1277, and that's the Friends of Seniors number. Or you could email. The email is WEAD, that stands for World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, WEAD217@evercare.org. The sponsors, just to mention the sponsors, because we would not be able to do this without the sponsors.
Yep.
There are companies that have stepped up. We've had about 23 or 24 sponsors right now that are helping, but the platinum sponsors are Accent Care, Braemere Community Living, Community Home Care, Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union, and Wingate Healthcare Systems. Those two organizations are repeat platinum sponsors that year after year. And then we also have gold sponsors, which is the Avalon and McCabe and Mack.
Nice.
So those sponsors have contributed significant money to make sure that this conference happens.
There are also names that I must say, with other guests on this show, those are organizations that really put their money back into the community.
Absolutely.
That really take a look at what's going on here in the Hudson Valley and really address that. And anytime I've ever emceed an event, I always tell people, look at who the sponsors are. Because if you're looking for a business and you need some help, look at the people who are really putting it back into the community of where we live. Susan, I'm going to bring you up to the microphone again a little bit. Let's talk about, I love how he says within 10 minutes, you guys had this, and you're like shaking your head. You're like, there is no rest, man. You just keep going.
Yeah. Well, compared to Dana, I actually look like Rip Van Winkle.
Oh.
But it was spontaneous, but we didn't really make an announcement to anybody until we were absolutely sure that we could pull this off, because it would take a year. It's a year of planning that we were going to do in 5 months, and so But within a week,
3 months.
yeah, well, January to June, 4 months, whatever.
Wow.
But in any case, Dana called last year's speaker and found her. She had moved to, change jobs. He found her in 2 seconds, and she agreed to speak again. That's Arlene Markarian.
Mm-hmm.
She is from the DA's office down in Nassau County, and she's chief of the Elder Abuse Unit. Mm-hmm. And then he also got other speakers, a gerontologist, Dr. Lawrence Force. He's from Mount St. Mary, and the Evercare chief medical officer, Dr. Mitchell Rubin. Sue Serino, New York State Senator Sue Serino, has been very supportive of our endeavor. Will be speaking, and so will Dutchess County Executive Mark Malinaro. So we're very honored that all these people have decided to come to this event and to continue without breaking up the momentum of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day.
Now, when we're talking about abuse, we're talking, there's other things like financial,
Right,
and mental,
right,
emotional,
right.
and physical, right? I mean, this is not because there are...
And neglect.
And neglect. Thank you. Thank you. Always correct me. Absolutely. Because this is, if you have someone who is older and someone has said, hey, I can pay your bills, you know, where is that money going? Unfortunately, that happens. My husband and I, when we first, I think we have attended one. I think it had been in a different location. Yeah. And we had gone and to some just to educate ourselves and to find out and to learn the right way to do things and who to ask questions of. So when I bring that up is, who is this conference for? Is it for people who find themselves taking care of someone, about to take care of someone, or an elder? Who do you guys see as the audience?
Well, on the flyer it says a conference for everyone, and that is the truth.
Okay.
We're trying to get a balance, of there's professional staff that are coming that work with elder abuse victims, or work with people in general that have a real interest in wanting to be helpful. That they're coming. We have some seniors, people that are aging that are attending, some family members.
Cool.
So it is for everybody. Everybody will benefit from this conference.
Very, very cool. Now, I have to say, guys, we have 5 minutes left.
Oh, my goodness.
I told you, when you sat down, you went 30. We're never going to make this. So I normally don't say that this early, but I feel like this could be an hour show. So I want to make sure that I let you guys know how much time that we have. Bronca, you seem like you're kind of moving towards a microphone, and I want you to kind of talk about, with Grace Smith House, when we're talking about the different types of abuse, it's certainly... you, as you said, your advocacy and the toll-free number have spoken and have trained volunteers to handle so many of these issues, whether elderly or not.
Absolutely. And it starts with that. It starts with reaching out to our hotline. And we will receive calls from, sometimes victims themselves saying, this is what's happening. And it is a perfect opportunity to educate individuals about what their options are. And it starts with that. Often it can be neighbors or other individuals who are saying, I think I see this happening, down the street, or my neighbor's going through this. I'm not sure if this is abuse. So a large part of what we do, and certainly what this conference is attempting to do, is educate the public, not just service providers and professionals, but the public in general. Once you understand it, you'll be able to see it. It is hidden in plain sight, as are many forms of different types of abuse. But we begin with educating individuals, letting them know what their options are, and when they are ready to take those steps, we then activate, other services, the advocacy, the accompaniment to various systems. We certainly provide counseling. We also have some support groups and other services that target the victims.
Very cool.
Can I just say one of the
Yes.
just how everyone is listening? I hope you look up, get on the internet, look things up about what elder abuse is, how significant it really is, because people, I mean, they estimate about 1 in every 10 seniors out there experience some form of elder abuse. There are actually studies that for financial abuse saying that 3 out of every 10.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so so prevalent, and again, because a lot of times it does involve family or other loved ones, it makes it that much more difficult. The most significant thing too to know is that in the reporting piece of it, and this is something still that amazes me that has not happened. For child abuse, there's mandated reporters throughout the
Right.
state. You're required to report.
Right.
For elders who actually, as they age, are just as vulnerable, if not more. There is not a mandatory
There is not a
reporting process. No, and that's something that we hope will change.
Wow. I'm stunned. Like
Yeah,
not
I know.
many things make me speechless, but
Yeah.
I'm surprised because there are, like you said,
Sure.
with children, and there's many. There's a safety net system, but not to have that.
Yeah,
That's heartbreaking.
It is mind-boggling.
That's wow. Goodness gracious. Susan, when you talk about what you guys do with Friends of Seniors of Dutchess County and volunteers and driving and it's social, you guys are, you're in the field.
We are.
I mean, I'm trying to think of another word, but
We're in the trenches.
You are in the trenches, and you guys would see and would notice and be able to help.
Yeah, and the
My
volunteers
goodness.
are wonderful. If they see anything untoward, they definitely let me know, and then I will call the appropriate agency and try to get help for the person.
Yeah, you guys are a safety net. I mean, not just
We can be. We have to be careful
Yes.
because we are, volunteers, and we have to be careful. But, what I do first is I call the adult children first. But if there's nobody around, then I'll go to the appropriate agency.
Yeah. Goodness gracious. Well, let's go. We have about 2 minutes left.
Okay.
So I just want to remind everybody it's the 9th annual World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. It's Friday, June 16th. It's at the Poughkeepsie Elks Lodge, number 275. And again, if you're not sure where that is, head to the website of the station you're listening to this morning, and we will have links. We'll have maps. There won't be a problem. Registration 8:30. The program is from 9 until 1. You have keynote speakers, you have guest speakers, and as you said, Dana, it is for everyone. Yes, there'll be
And it's free.
professionals, and it's free,
Right.
but it's for the community to come and educate yourself,
Yeah,
which
and-
I think is very, 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 very powerful.
And can I mention the sponsors real quick again?
Yes.
Because if basically the sponsors again, main sponsors: Accent Care, Braemere Community Living, Community Home Care, Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union, Wingate Healthcare's Avalon, and McCabe and Mack. Again, if you're looking to sponsor or even donate,
Yes.
the Foundations for Community Health of the Hudson Valley, or Community Foundations of the Hudson Valley, it's called actually, is actually managing the funds for this. So if you can't make the conference but you want to contribute, you can go right to the Community Foundations of the Hudson Valley and make a contribution.
And I will have that link in the article
Right.
just to make it very easy for everyone. So I want to ask closing comments. Dana, final thoughts you'd like to leave with folks this morning?
Just please come on out to the conference and become more informed.
Okay. Susan, some final thoughts.
If anyone has any questions, please contact the National Center on Elder Abuse at 855-500-3537.
Okay. And Bronca, any final closing comments?
I want to echo what Dana said, which is come out and support us. It begins with education. Being aware, being informed is a first step to maybe working towards prevention.
Great. Thank you, all of you. There's so much work you guys are doing that we never see when you come in here in the studio to do a show. And for that, I thank each and every one of you for what you do. But thanks for being willing to put yourselves behind the microphone. It is appreciated. Thank you, guys. And
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thanks
You're
for having us.
welcome. And thanks to all of you. Hopefully there's something that you have learned today. If there's information this you can share, like I said, go to the website of whatever station you're listening to. Keyword, which is up in the upper right-hand corner on the site. Just type in touch. And this show will pop up and you can open it. You can re-listen to parts of the interview. You can also get all the links. If you'd like to be on the program, here's how you can get a hold of me. You can call me 845-471-1500. My extension is 159. My email is beth.christy, CHRISTY, @townsquaremedia.com. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and Twitter and probably too many things. You can find me there too. Take care of yourself and those you love, and we'll see you right here next week.